Members of the board, I just wanted to make a summary comment, if I could. I think the statistics that Carolyn reviewed are pretty well known in terms of the burgeoning number of elderly and people with disabilities in our region. But I think what you begin to see, certainly the need is great, but there's also a very strong business case for TriMet as an enterprise here. When you begin to look at the distinction between the cost per ride for the lift system and that of providing unencumbered access to the fixed route system, it's overwhelming. $2.75 for the combined, if you will, max and bus access versus $29 for a lift ride. So there's a clear, if you will, business case for TriMet to try to remove the barriers and to be a leader in removing the barriers to the fixed route system so that we make it easy for people to take advantage of, I think, what is actually also superior service. And that's the quest here that we're on, the question that we're asking the voters, or proposing that you ask the voters. I think one of the other things that we wanted to just emphasize is that when it comes to the stops and crossings part of this, one of the things that we'd like to do, and again heard this a little bit at the Washington County Coordinating Committee yesterday, was beginning to work with our partners to challenge their involvement in this in sort of a twofer or a threefer in terms of other local investment when we choose to help improve a stop or shelter. So the hope is that this can leverage even greater investment in this critical need from others in the region. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the board.
Just a couple of questions. Number one, always in bonds, and first let me say, before I start asking questions, I am in support of doing the bond. But I also want to be very clear that as individuals hear about the things that are being proposed to be done in the bond, that they understand, and I want to be correct on this, that it's not going to take care of every stop, that there are going to be some selected stops that will be improved, and we will see those changes. And then the other question is, I want to be confident of this, is that there is a partnership between county, state, and city when it comes to doing the crosswalks and all of that. That does not rely totally on TriMet going out and installing a crosswalk across a county highway or a city's highway or street. That's a part of what they have to do. And to be very clear, as some will come in and say, but you said that you were going to do this, and you said you were going to do that, and when it's not done, then it looks like we, quote unquote, we're not honest and open with the people about having this bond passed. And I just want to make sure I'm clear on those things as I talk about it, and that the public is hearing the same message behind that. I voted for that bond, and now at 119th at whatever street didn't improve the stop. Why didn't you? To eliminate those types of comments.
You're absolutely right. I think one of the things that we're benefited by is just absolutely superb information from the TriMet system about where, for example, lifts are deployed by buses on a regular basis, where the number of people that board at any stop, as well as great information geographically about where sidewalks are lacking. So combining those factors allows us to develop a very specific, if you will, priority list of where the dollars can be the most good. And related to your comment about partnership, I completely concur, and frankly, we could not do this without our partners participating. I think the model that we've seen and a great pilot project that we undertook over the last couple of years has been along Tualatin Valley Highway for Line 57. And that involved investment by TriMet, by ODOT, by the City of Beaverton, City of Hillsborough, and City of Cornelius. And actually, that allowed us to achieve many of the objectives that you outlined, and do, frankly, a lot more than we could have with our own resources only. So again, I think I completely concur with that. I think part of this is to begin to get ahead of the tsunami, ahead of the wave a little bit. But it is not the end-all and be-all, and obviously
there are 7,000 stops in the area, so it's not going to move everyone.
One more follow-up, just for general information. These new buses, low floors, and all the lighting and everything that comes, and the new lift buses that we want, And I'm supposing that I can get this bus for about $39,000, and the lift for about $20,000.
No. A lift bus is probably on the order of 90,000. And we do those actually through the state purchase agreements where there's great bulk considered in terms of the pricing of that. Buses, the 40-foot transit buses are about on the order of 425 to 440,000. As we joke inside about whether or not you add the undercoating or not, but there are of course options that can affect the price. But nonetheless, that's why these are major investments, and frankly, why we spend a lot of resource with our maintenance facility staff maintaining them. While FTA considers 12 years for a major 40-foot bus and adequate life, we would never, I think, even consider that adequate. We would always want to see 15, 16, maybe 17 years out of those assets. But as we stretch into 18, 19, 20, what we find is that those buses need to be retired because the maintenance requirements to keep them running become very expensive. And indeed, the features that they offer right now are way behind what we think we need to adequately remove those barriers.
Other questions of board members?